I'm not sure how much of an economic advantage either player has at this point. Xavier only now starting his lair tech. Xavier does have though the possibility of getting 3 gas fairly comfortably early on, and Best only with a single Stargate doesn't have a massive force of Corsairs as of yet in this game. He's got that Lone Reaver out. He has got his a strong economy, and he probably has a little bit of a tech lead on Xavier to say the least, because he has got that Citadel add-on going. He's got his Reavers up and running. So Xavier's now going to be forced to start building Sunkens here and try and play a more defensive game while he catches up technologically. His economy, I don't think, is in too poor position. And oh my god, Best very careless here, leaving his courses out. One of the courses getting picked off by Xavier. The second one taking massive damage. Templar Archives going out for Best. I think he would probably, with a single gateway, not bother producing Dark Templar, although he feels, especially since he doesn't have a high Corsair count. The key for Xavier might be to maybe get a Sport Colony down in his main, just so that he's not forced to spread his Hydralisk force too much. That being said, once he's got a Sunken line, Sunkens and a few I think Xavier has enough Hydralisk, to be honest, actually, to be able to spread them out. And since Best only has the one gateway, Xavier is not going to be too worried about that. And Xavier putting another hatchery down now outside Best's ramp. And I think this is a little bit problematic, because even though he is trying to Sunken his opponent into his base with that 4th hatchery, the problem for Xavier is that hatchery is down the ramp as opposed to on top of the ramp, where typically where it was on Bluestorm, where on Bluestorm his Sunken was actually above the ramp, and that made it all the more difficult for the Protoss player attacking. Xavier now once again picking off that gateway, trying to take that gateway down. Best using the Reaver to push those Hydralisks away. Xavier trying to take that gateway down, to try and prevent Best from getting his Dark Templar out. Best undoubtedly is going for Dark Templar. I personally don't feel it's going to be very effective to go for Dark Templar, because Xavier's completely anticipating this, and Best doesn't have the Corsair fleet necessary to be able to do significant damage to that. Xavier now building, looks like he's building a creep colony in his main. I'm not sure whether he's going to morph into a Sunken or Spire. I haven't seen an evolution chamber up for him yet, so it'll be difficult for him to morph it into a Spire. He's obviously going to have to pull some Hydralisk back to defend, and Best is now going in with that shuttle. He's going to drop in behind Xavier's main, and Xavier is putting the evolution chamber down. So, but the problem is he then needs to put a second Sunken, and this might be a little bit careless of Xavier, because those Dark Templar are heading in. I'm not sure if he's going to get his Spore Colony up in time. He's not got a Spore Colony, he's got an evolution chamber. He doesn't have any Overlords or any units. This could be very dangerous and horrible for Xavier here. He's got no forces and reinforcements near his base, and I think this is very careless of him. The Corsairs are coming in now as well. The Sunken is up, the evolution chamber is up, those Dark Templar are in. Best is peeking on Xavier's Overlords. Xavier doesn't even have speed upgraded Overlords, and he has no units there. And this is horrible. 5 drones killed. Best manages to take out 5 of Xavier's drones before he wakes up and moves his drones away, and this is really remiss of Xavier. I do not think, and another drone goes down, and now the Sunken is going down in his main as well, and this is horrible play by Xavier. Really remiss of him. He's going to be forced to bring his Hydralisk back now to try and defend this. The problem is I don't think he's got speed upgraded Overlords, so I'm not sure what he's going to do. He's going to focus fire on the lucky thing for Xavier is that Best hasn't got a lot of Dark Templar out there yet. He has now got speed upgraded Overlord. The Corsairs are going to try and focus him down. Best with some great micro, really giving himself a decent advantage in this game, really hurting Xavier's economy, and Xavier needs to be doing a little bit more multitasking here. Best is microing much better, although Best obviously is able to segregate Xavier's forces better, and Best only having to micro 2 Dark Templar and his Corsairs, while Xavier having to micro his Hydralisk in numerous places, as well as account for those Corsairs of Best as well. Meanwhile, Best has built up a massive fleet of 4 Reavers, and when he pushes out, Xavier's going to be in trouble here. Xavier really struggling. Xavier catching all of Best's Corsairs off in the middle of the map. Xavier caught Best's Crosshairs just as they were going through, and he took out 3 of the Corsairs. Xavier is managing to Sunken Best in. Best has got those Reavers, but he's lost all of his Corsairs, and those Corsairs are vital to support the Reavers, especially to take out Scourges, to have the critical mass of Corsairs to kill Scourges as they come in before they can hit the shuttle. Xavier, though, obviously does not have a Spire, and he's going to be really relying on his Hydralisk against those shuttles right now, and I think it's imperative that Xavier puts a Spire down, because for the moment Best doesn't have air superiority. He doesn't have a large Corsair fleet. He's only got the 1 Stargate, and Xavier's been consistently killing his Corsairs, and I think a Scourge and Xavier just picking off that Dark Templar at the top right corner of the map. He actually moved his Overlord away, and his Hydralisk stopped attacking him, but Xavier awake enough to actually pull it back. And I have to say that Xavier has given Best a chance in this game that he shouldn't have given, and Best is ready to push forward. Xavier has got a few Sunkens, that's going to help him in his defense. In the last game I saw with Quanro versus Cal, Quanro didn't have any Sunkens to aid him in his defense. So even though Best has got a large number of Zealots, the problem for Xavier is that those 4 Reavers, I'm not sure. Best has an Observer as well. Xavier has no Scourges to take that Observer down. Xavier trying to defend his lurkers, but he didn't have his Heartless in time. Storm going off as well, so good combination of units from Best, really pushing forward. Those Zealots are now down though, most of them. He's only got about 4 left, pounding away that Sunken. Savior's bringing his reinforcements in, he's got more lurkers morphing, and Savior looks content to let Best push forward. Best trying to now do the right thing of taking out those overlords of Saviors to prevent him from producing more units. He's managed to rebuild a fleet of about 3 courses, but Savior's taking most down, so Best, having taken out all the Sunkens, is now leaving his Zealots in to finish the job. Meanwhile, brilliant job by Best in Savior's main, massacre on all of his probes, great multitasking by Best. He's really laying the horde on Savior here, and I think Savior, there's a good chance that Savior's going to go down here, folks. Savior's really struggling. He's trying to focus those Reavers down, but without Scourges, it's a hopeless battle, and really, Savior not choosing to plant a spar down at all, really relying far too much on trying to kill Best off in the early game without even taking to lair. I think it's just, I really thought it was going to be a difficult task for him, and Best obviously did everything right. I think he scouted the proxy hatchery. Had he not scouted the proxy hatchery, maybe he would have played it slightly differently. Maybe he would have not had, maybe tried to get a shuttle out first and therefore delayed his first Reaver coming out a little bit, but again, you can't really count on something like that, and now I think this game is curtains for Savior. Savior is going to go out of the OSL, folks. He's going to be dumped out by a Protoss player. Savior, the player who was impossible for Protoss players to defeat, is actually going to now lose to a Protoss player, and Best really has done too much damage to his economy. Savior's Sunkens are coming. Savior once again bringing his Heartless in, trying to catch those Reavers off guard, but it's too little, too late. Those his forces are too pitiful to be able to combat Best's forces, and the blockade he had set up outside Best's main is being completely vanquished, and Best having the strength and the army to put Savior's blockade to the sword, and now his overlords are going to come in. This really is, the game is now slipped away from Savior, and I think what's made the difference in this game was the lack of Scourges. Savior managed to kill a lot of Best's Corsairs. If he had a few more Scourges, I think he could have taken those Reavers down, and I think he could have come back in this game. The other problem, of course, was Savior, those 2 Dark Templar did far too much damage to Savior. Savior really allowed them, counting too much on his ability to keep Best in his main. I just don't understand how he did not anticipate that Best would drop Dark Templar with a shuttle. I did feel personally that Savior should have been in a comfortable position to defend it. He got his evolution, but unfortunately for Savior, he left his main and his expo just outside his main completely undefended versus Best's drop, and that one Sunken obviously was not going to do anything for him against the Dark Templar. Savior didn't have an Overlord there either. He didn't. Really, all it would have taken if Savior had a Spore Colony next to that Sunken by the time the Dark Templar dropped, that would have been it. Best would have done no damage to him, and Savior would have been in a very strong position and probably would have taken the game. So for me personally, guys, that was the turning point in this match. Yes, I know Savior committed himself very early on with that push before the lair, but I still think he could have come out with a win were it not for that particular maneuver. Best did a lot of damage. He took out, I think, almost 10 drones with his Dark Templar before those Dark Templar got taken out, and that really hurt Savior's economy. And I think the other big mistake from my point of view that Savior made was not getting the spire up, and Savior is now really struggling. He's got a decent economy going, but it's just he's got nothing left on the ground to defend. Best has got such a vastly superior force on the air and on the ground that there's nothing Savior can do about another drop of High Templar in Savior's main to mop up his remaining drones, and I think at this point Savior is going to GG, and he does indeed GG. Massacre for Savior. He goes out of the OSL, and I think if anyone had any doubts whether or not Savior was slumping, or whether it was just a temporary thing, or whether it was just a small thing, or just luck of the day, I think those doubts can be fairly dispelled here. This is nothing like the Savior of old. The mistakes were too few, were too many rather, and massive in scope and scale. Best showing some competent Protoss play. He's not impressed me as much as Cal did in his game versus Quanro, but unfortunately another Zerg bows out of the OSL, I guess the place for qualification, the second place for qualifications, and Savior is tears here. He just cannot believe what has happened to him, and I'm as disappointed as I'm sure I can't possibly fathom Savior's disappointment, but I'm severely disappointed. But the second spot for qualification in this group now is going to be decided between C and Best, it would seem, and I think C, having beaten Best once already, is probably favourite to progress through. So this is Klazart, guys. Thanks for listening. Wow, what a matchup. Savior looked like he had it and then gave it away.